What is Italy's Deputy Prime Minister Luigi Di Maio trying to do here?
Well, I mean, as we've heard from the French government, this isn't something that's happened just over the last 24 hours. We've seen a repeated pattern, both from Luigi Di Maio and from his fellow member of the coalition, Matteo Salvini from the League in Italy, both of which have essentially been baiting France, the French government and the French President Emmanuel Macron over the last few months across a range of issues. By coming to France and meeting with the leaders of the Gilets jaunes and then speaking afterwards about a wind of change crossing the Alps and how beautiful it was, Luigi Di Maio is taking things perhaps a step further, which has prompted the French government's reaction to recall its ambassador. What seems to be at stake here is, I think, internal politics is the issue. Both Salvini and Di Matteo are playing internal politics. They've got European elections for the EU coming up in a few weeks' time. Both of them are reminding their own electorates that they are anti-establishment parties and behaving just like that. We've not seen this sort of behaviour before. They're making it clear to everybody, not just in Italy but outside Italy, that they're not part of the traditional mould and they're crossing the traditional boundaries and appealing, as we're seeing in this particular case, across national boundaries inside France to appeal for potential alliances. We've seen Salvini talking to Marine Le Pen, for instance, quite openly, seeking alliances, though, looking to form blocs.
I think they appear on posters together, don't they?
Exactly. So this, I think, is part of the same pattern. And remember, Luigi Di Maio's five-star movement has been doing rather poorly by comparison with the League in that coalition in the Italian government at the moment. Perhaps this is Luigi Di Maio trying to find some way to push himself back to the forefront and win votes.
Now, I had a guest on earlier, and it was interesting what she said. She said Emmanuel Macron hasn't really responded to all these things coming out, all these statements coming from Luigi Di Maio or Matteo Salvini. For him, his point of reference in Italy is Giuseppe Conte, the Prime Minister. I thought that was an interesting statement, considering that these two men keep doing all the talking. But just how unprecedented is this move from Paris today, Rob?
Well, I certainly don't recall anything like this within the European Union.
Two countries that are friends, essentially.
Two countries that are friends, that have a long history together,
neighbors,
that have so many ties at every possible conceivable level that it comes as an enormous surprise, even given the context at the moment. But I think what President Macron is trying to do is stay above the fray, not get sucked into it. He will make Conte his point of reference. He will not get sucked into a slanging match, if he can help it, I think, with either Salvini or Di Matteo, which won't play to his advantage, which could certainly inflame things within France as well, and allow both Salvini and Di Matteo to play that card in the relationship too. So I think he would try and keep things on a state level, because long-term it is in France's interest to make sure that the two countries have solid relations. Now, there are big issues at stake here. Now, one of the issues that has really I suppose, exacerbated the relationship between France and Italy is the one of migration. That's really where the bad relationship, particularly between Salvini and Macron, started over. If you remember last year, the migrant rescue ship, the Aquarius, when it was denied access into Italian ports. There was discussion about that there. The Italian government was criticised explicitly by Emmanuel Macron. The Italians said, well, you take them then. France wasn't ready to do that. The accusation by the Italians to the French was, you're a hypocrite. The French called the Italians inhumane. And that has sparked off, ever since then, a problem on the whole issue of migration, which can only really be solved at the pan-EU European level. And until it is solved, that sourness at the heart, at the core of the relationship, which is fed by other things as well, past relationships, the past colonial relationships with countries in Northern Africa in particular, but at the moment is fixating on that issue of migration into Europe.
Okay, Rob, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for that, Robert Parsons there.